So, some people may have joined new schools and have taken up this role, or you may have taken over a year group from somebody else. I want to look at it tonight and think, well, I don't just want us to continue doing what we're doing because we've already done it and because we've always done it that way. I want to challenge you tonight to think about really how we can improve what we do in the school and how we can move that forward, and hopefully as well by using the expertise that's in the room, because tonight we've already got 7 or 8 people who are currently working in pastoral roles, and I'd like to think that we can actually share some good practice. And yes, I'll be giving you some ideas, and I'll be giving you some different ways to do things, some different ways to think, but I'm going to be openly challenging you to think differently, but also to contribute ideas so that we can all learn from each other, and there may be some fantastic practice out there that we can learn from. So I think that the more we put into this session, from using the chat box and from using the polls and from the discussions that are generated, then the more we're going to be able to get out of it, because hopefully we're all going to be able to feel like we can contribute to the session, not just as a participant, but actually in terms of peer participation and learning from each other. So that's how I want to work it. My contact details I will put up at the end, and I'm more than happy for any of you to contact me at any point, either via email, via Twitter, or via Facebook, and I'll give you my kind of education links to all those 3 on there at the end. And what I would also like you to do is to maybe share at some point towards the end with each other your own email addresses at schools, because there may be something coming from this that somebody mentions that you're doing in your school that really works, or you've seen, and you can kind of hook up with each other and learn from each other, and basically magpie some good practice, which is what this is all about. So let's have a look at what we're going to do. A brief overview. We're going to look at kind of initially the role of the head of year, and I know that you kind of know what you're doing at the moment if you're in that role, but then onto leading your tutor team. So how can you get the best out of them? The effective use of tutor time, very important, and some different ways to think about things of how you can get every little bit of every ounce of time available. Managing your time personally as a head of year, and I think that all of us have been in that position where we found a strain on our time from the classroom to your head of year role. Some information on behaviour and safety. We're going to do a light touch there because I could do a whole session on that, and there is a session that Subject Support run that I deliver on behaviour, on leading behaviour, and if that's something that interests you from this session, then I would advise you to look at that and to look at Subject Support and find out when that session's on again. Academic monitoring as well, and then homeschool partnerships. So a lot of these things are not going to be new to you all, and it's not the case that you don't know how to speak to someone at home, or you don't know about behaviour and safety. You're going to know about a lot of these already because you're working the job. I really want to move this forward tonight and thinking, well, how can we think about it differently? I want you to be reflective, and because you're all sat either in your school now or at home on your own probably, I want you to be really reflective and really challenge your own self. And if you feel that over the last few months, over the last year, over the last week, that your use of tutor time has been not as good as it should have been, or the fact that you don't feel you're leading your tutor team as well as you could be, then you need to be honest with yourself. And it's not about sharing necessarily these truths with everyone else by saying, listen, I'm no good at leading my tutor team. But I want you to really challenge your own self and think, well, how can I get better? Because if we continue to do what we've always done, then we'll always get what we've always got. And hopefully the reason you are in this session and you've signed up for this is because you want to be a better year leader, and you really want to be the best at what you do. So that's going to be what it's about, and also sharing that good practice that we've all got. So initially, the role of the head of year. I want you to think about your school, because every school is different, and every school, and I've worked in 3 schools now, and all of the 3 schools I worked in, the heads of year, the year leaders, or whatever you call them, and they've actually had 3 different titles in the 3 different schools I've worked in. I think they've been a student performance manager in one school, they've been a head of year in another school, and now a year leader in my current school. So slightly different roles and slightly different points of emphasis, really. And I just want you to think about in your school right now, what is the if you had to sum up in with one area, what is the key area that your school expects from you? Is it that you are charged with behaviour management? Are you charged with academic progress? Are you charged with the well-being of your students? Are you charged more of a child protection role, or an extended services or multi-agency provision. What is it? And if you can just put that in the chat box, that'd be interesting to see what kind of different different schools are now thinking about this middle leader role. So take a minute or so to think about that if need be, and just drop that in the chat box there, and that'll be interesting for us to see. What we all think. So Michael's thinking a bit of everything, but mostly behaviour management. Yep, I would certainly have agreed to that in the roles that I've taken so far, Michael. And Michael, is that because there are some behaviour issues, or is it because the school is there some bad behaviour, or is it because actually just that's kind of what the ethos is of the school that you want that? And the transition from primary school to secondary, yeah, absolutely. My wife's the head of year 7, and her job is a huge part of that is transition and primary liaison. Lee is saying a bit of everything, but this year, year 11 academic achievement, yep, absolutely. Achievement coordinator, Sophie saying wellbeing and achievement. Richard, behaviour management, welfare of students, attitude towards them. So we've got a bit of a mix there. Attainment, progress, day-to-day things and behaviour, and then Michael responded to what I was saying about the school generally good, but how do you acts for most behaviour strategies and discipline? Yeah, so and that's interesting straight away that we have those differences in schools, and no school's the same. We've got different challenges, but at the end of the day, our role is pivotal because whether we like it or not, our role is really key for school improvement. And the development of young people. And I think that it's interesting there how we've probably got two different slants there, which is like, I suppose three different slants. We've got 2 or 3 people saying that their main role is behaviour management, a couple saying it's now more towards academic achievement and progress, and then also 1 or 2 things slipping in with well-being and more kind of more of a pastoral well-being welfare. So interesting, but I think we can all agree that in our day-to-day role, we do so many different things that we need to be the all singing, all dancing kind of pastoral leader now that has a lot of strengths to our bow. And we're not only behaviour specialists. And I know that when I first came into the role, and I've been teaching for 15 years now, but when I came into the role of head of year, maybe 12, 13 years ago, it was about behaviour management. It was about detentions and chasing kids and ringing parents and all that kind of stuff. And I never ever touched into academic progress monitoring, of achievement and things like that. But I think that the landscape in education has changed, and we need to understand that, because more and more now the year leaders in the schools that I'm working in now and that I have worked in previously are charged with academic progress and monitoring of students, making sure students are on track. And intervening when there are issues. So and we'll look at that later on in the session. But I think that one thing that I've always been told is that you don't necessarily need to be an expert in everything. And the higher you go up in the school and the more you are promoted, the more kind of daunting it is thinking you have to know everything about everything in the school. But actually, as long as you've got a team of professionals, as long as you've got a good network of people, then you don't have to solve every problem yourself. And we'll touch on this later in terms of teamwork and kind of multi services and extended services, different provision. Actually, it's a weakness in a year leader if you feel you have to deal with everything yourself, because you can't be that expert and you can't give everything the time it needs. So I just want to make sure that we don't all think we're kind of Superman and flying around all over the school doing